The senator that was just arrested, when we actually look at that footage, it does appear to be political theater.
There's a lot of capital right now in the Democratic Party for getting arrested. In the case of Padilla, charging into a press conference, lunging towards a stage.
Sir, hands up.
It is not serious to try to lunge at the Homeland Security Secretary in a press conference and expect any, reasonable outcome.
And I think that's fair. So you can't just lunge through police officers. It looks like you're rushing the stage.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary.
He could have just shouted the question. It doesn't sound like he even had a coherent question.
Because the fact of the matter is, I have a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
The optics of being arrested, the resistance fighter, it fits into a larger story. And to get your face out there, that's what you need when you're in a political career.
The theater kids have taken over, and they are desperate to create theater, and that's all it is.
He keeps going. He keeps pushing back. If you were to do that to a police officer at a traffic stop, they would immediately put you in cuffs.
Hand, lay flat, lay flat. Other hand, sir. Other hand.
So I'm not sure why he's suddenly flabbergasted that he's detained.
I mean, I'm sorry, but screaming that I'm a senator, I don't know who you are.
It's important that the viewers know he's a senator because it's going to all play out on social media, so he's got to identify himself.
I find it curious he had a staffer posted up in there to film the whole thing. These are clearly stunts.
Good point, because in this room you can clearly hear at the end of the footage the officers stating that you can't record in here.
So what, I'm sorry? There's no recording allowed here.
The guy holding the camera makes it clear that, well, this is my boss, I need to record this.
That's my boss, I have to record everything allowed here.
And you're like, I don't care, you can't record in here.
There's no recording allowed. I'm not a member of the press. There's no recording allowed. I understand that, sir, but...
The guy who went to lock arms and interfere with the detention of an illegal in New York City. I mean, the energy in the Democratic Party right now is around doing everything they can do to protect the illegal immigrant populations in the United States, which is still baffling to me.
There is an effort to dox ICE agents. There's a lot of emotion around this topic, and Scott Jennings brings this up on CNN.
Violent protesters are trying to take their picture and dox them on the internet and put them and their families in harm's way. Do you agree with that?
I had
because I don't.
I had not heard about that.
In the death throes of CNN, they brought on this Scott Jennings, I believe his name is.
Which I think we live in kind of different informational silos.
He is single-handedly kind of keeping them on their last leg by providing an opposing viewpoint.
I didn't know about this doxing, and that's horrible too. So there's a lot of bad stuff that's happening. The doxing should not be happening, but what's happening is those masks are terrifying people. But I wasn't aware of the doxing.
Yes, but the question is, are the masks necessary? Is there an actual logical reason? They don't wear masks, it's inevitable. There will be people that will try and dox them and put them on these lists. I think the water quality in the US is good. It can be worse than you think. And I'll show you. There are sites that let you see exactly what type of contaminants are in your water based on your zip code. You can see here, even in a city like Boston, there are over 9 times the recommended limit of PFOAs, or forever chemicals in the water. They've been linked to all sorts of issues like cancer, hormonal effects, and developmental issues in children. In my house, we've been using Cove Pure, and it's made such a difference. When it arrived, I'll tell you, my family loves it. Virtually anything that isn't water gets filtered out by Cove Pure, leaving you with the purest water possible, and you can control the temperature. You want it warm, room temperature, or cold. It's really easy to set up. You don't have to change any plumbing. It just goes right on any surface, and you can move it around the kitchen wherever you want to place it. And they look good too. It looks really good. Clean water is truly one of the best investments you can make for you and your family. So make sure you use my link, covepure.com/Warren Smith, to get $200 off today.
In the case of these law enforcement who are being doxxed, and I mean, they're only being doxxed for one reason, because they want people to come along and do something terrible to them.
I'm from a law enforcement family, and I'm against that.
Well, the masks are scary. They make them look like stormtroopers. This is literally the argument that this mayor is making.
If you start having a system where law enforcement officers are like, moving towards like stormtroopers in Star Wars, where they're, when I was a kid, I remember thinking that, stormtroopers were all robots. They're not. They're people who wore, just covered everything up.
Because masks look like stormtroopers, and stormtroopers scared me as a kid. That's basically the argument.
We don't want to move towards that kind of model where where law enforcement becomes almost like an occupying army, disconnected from the community.
Disconnected from the community. This is that flowery language.
And that's what it is when you start hiding their face, hiding the identity.
Yeah, you just heard him call our law enforcement stormtroopers and occupying army forces.
Boy, it's a totally different society that we're going to be living in if we get to the point where it is considered acceptable for law enforcement officers to be anonymous. That is not okay.
So this mayor is being accused of doxing federal officials.
The mayor of Nashville got caught up for doxing ICE agents. Roll the clip.
Back there.
Hi, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News. Do you believe that posting the names of federal immigration officers endangers them?
Well, this was really an issue where they were already part of a public record by being in Department of Emergency Communications calls, so I don't think it puts them at additional risk.
And the follow-up question would be, okay, well, if it doesn't put them at risk, why did you remove the names?
So if it doesn't put them at additional risk, why did your office decide to remove the names?
It wasn't an intentional process. We've had primarily using local departments. We've had multiple people whose names have been there, but again, this is something new. We're reviewing it. We've obviously had some concerns from DHS about release of those names.
This reporter is asking good questions. She kind of traps him here.
Do you understand the concerns of DHS when they're talking about endangering federal immigration officers by posting the names?
I understand the concerns, but it's not a process that I would characterize as doxing.
Putting their names on the internet, I mean, it depends on your definition of doxing. That's for revealing personal information, so by that definition it would be.
So would you agree with them that releasing the names endangers them, or was it just to kind of appease
I wouldn't
HSI?
say it would.
The question is, would that potentially endanger them? And notice how he just skirts around this question.
Is an endangerment process. I would say they may have some concerns. I'm far more concerned about the overall dynamic we have about.
Makes it more about the overall dynamic, redirects the attention where he wants it to go.
Unmarked, unidentifiable, masked people, whisking people into vehicles. I think that's a bigger concern.
And if they are unidentifiable, that's a problem. And it doesn't mean we need to see their face, but they need to have credentials, because we are seeing cases of people posing as ICE to rob someone, kidnap someone.
Do I think he could be telling the truth in good faith? Yes. But you got to watch these people. You got to always keep an eye on them, because they do sneaky stuff like this. I think if you're an ICE agent, you got to have some type of credentials. You got to have something that indicates that you're an ICE agent, because to be honest, if I was a criminal and I was a part of a criminal enterprise, I'd be acting like I'm ICE agents to be throwing people in the car if you want to do something to them, right?
When can law enforcement be undercover in unmarked vehicles and have their identity protected? California is proposing a bill that would prevent law enforcement from being, of all kinds, from being able to wear a mask to conceal their identity.
The bill, if passed into law, would strip law enforcement of their right to wear face masks while conducting operations in the field.
And the other side is pushing back, claiming, okay, but we have all these protesters wearing masks. Where's the concern around those masks?
All the protests that are happening, you know, the Free Palestine people, now who have now converted into the pro-Iranian regime people, a lot of them wear masks out there. We don't seem to be exercised about that.
And these same Democrats who won't condemn the masked protesters, the people perpetrating the violence.
When do officers have the right to not have their identity revealed? That's the real question here.
It's a strange world where those who enforce law are the bad guys and those who break the law are the good guys. But yeah, they're getting doxxed. I'm getting doxxed. My family gets doxxed. They get doxxed.
Throughout history, we've seen if officers were going up against the mafia, there might be an incentive structure, or the cartel. There might be an incentive to keep your identity concealed.